Hello everyone, and welcome to So Many Games and So Little Time. Today we'll be talking about this little amazing game called Trial of the Temples by Michael Milsick and Wei Min Ling. It's for Emperor S4 games, and like I said, it's pretty amazing. So let's see why it's so amazing. Every century, the most powerful archmages gather at the center of the world, which is called the Mages Arena. There they're going to enter the trials at the 3 temples. You can see the 3 different ones, to compete for the title of Supreme Master. Each archmage is going to refine crystals, so these kind of things, they're around the board, as you can see, and create magical barriers to block their opponents. You have the day and night barrier, more about that later, and other barriers will be explained later on as well. And also, they will try to cast spells from their spellbook. Their spellbook looks like this. And to activate your spells, you need spell cores. You can also see these spell cores in the middle of the table. Now, who is going to win and who is going to receive the ultimate title? Let's take a look at the gameplay. Now around the main board, you can see that there are temple tiles. This is the day side, this is the night side. At the start of every round, we have the first phase, which is called the day and night phase. During the day and night phase, we are going to turn over a tile from the round deck. Now let's see. You can see the images on the left. They are not important because they're from the two-player variant. We only look at the number, which is number 4. When that happens, you look at the day and night tile. That tile is then going to move 4 steps clockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this tile is now covered. This is the night side, this is the day side. Then the 4 tiles that you've just passed, they are going to flip to the night side. So they will then show, as you can see, different resources, which increases the replayability, the variability, and so on. That is the day and night phase. Now there is an exception. During the first round, when you reveal the first round tile, you don't move the day and night tile. You just flip the tiles over. The example I just showed you is when the game is actually going on in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th round. Okay. That was the first phase, the day and night phase. Second phase is the temple phase. Whoever has the first player marker is decided by whoever is the youngest. That person can place their archmage. Now let's say we're playing in a 4-player game. I'm going to place 4 archmages, and let's say yellow is first. Let's say yellow decides to place their archmage here. Now that means the tile, the temple tile, where you place your archmage, you will receive the top rewards and the bottom one. You will also receive the bottom resources of all the tiles next to you up until the day and night tile. Now of course he doesn't get these immediately because the red player, blue player and green player still have to place their archmages. So let's say now it's green. And green decides that they don't want yellow to get too much resources, so they stand next to them. So what happens now is red will still get these 2 blue, they will get this red, but will only get this side because they are blocked by yellow on that side. And yellow will now only get everything on their tile, and then a blue crystal, red crystal, and an action token, and that is it. Now let's say green now wants to totally block yellow and go here. This is illegal. You can't block someone in. So the closest green can be is here. That would be legal. So you cannot block yourself in and you cannot block other people in. So let's say it was like this and yellow has to place. Yellow cannot be here. That would also be illegal. There is still a way to get more resources, even though you might be limited or blocked in and so on. For example, yellow, at this moment, They get resource from this tile, and this tile. Those are 3 tiles. When you get resources from only 3 tiles, you also get 2 mana points. If you only get resources, let's say from 2 tiles, then you get 4 mana points. So at least it makes it a little less bad to be blocked in. So let's say we still have blue here. Of course, blue is going to have a field day. Blue can like go here or maybe here and then get the rewards of all these. Whoever is closest to the night tile, they will receive the starting player token. Also 2 mana points. Whoever is closest to the day tile, they will get an action token. So let's see what everybody gets. Green would get 1 action token. It would get a yellow crystal, action token, a red crystal, and a blue crystal. Yellow will get a blue crystal, a red crystal, yellow crystal, and a red crystal. And also 4 mana. Green would also get 4 mana. Red would get 2 crystals, 1 red crystal, 1 blue crystal, 1 action token, only 3 tiles, so 2 mana. Blue would get 1 spell core, 1 action token, another action token, blue crystal, purple crystal, action token, 2 mana points, a crystal of their choice, first player token, and 2 mana. Now the spell cores are special. If you get a spell core, doesn't matter which color, you immediately have to place it on your playmat. So you take the spell core and then you choose which spell you want to place it on, and then that's that. More about the spells later on. So that's the second phase, the tempo phase, and I also explained the third phase already, the resource phase, where you take all your resources. I explained both phases in one. Okay, let's go on to the trial phase. So everyone has gotten their resources and they're happy. Now it's time to use them. In the trial phase, you are trying to get forward on all the trial tracks, or at least the trial tracks of your choice. Now, to be able to go forward, you need to pay the resources. So let's say yellow wants to go forward 1 step, they need to pay 1 blue crystal. If you want to go 2 steps, it's going to be 1 blue crystal, another blue crystal, and a purple crystal. If they want to go 3 steps, which is the maximum, you cannot go farther than 3 steps, they also need to pay 1 red and 1 yellow. The moment they pass by the spell core, they get to take it and use it. If all the spell cores of that color are gone, then they take a purple one. When all the purple ones are gone, the game will end. Okay, so they go forward. Now, the special mechanic about this game is, let's say yellow is here, red is here, and green is there. Then when it's blue's turn, they can just jump over people. They only have to pay blue and purple, red and blue to do hup, 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 and they're suddenly there. So in this case, it makes it very intriguing to decide whether you want to go first or you try to go as far as possible so people cannot easily jump over you. So it's always a good idea to keep an eye on what other people are doing. Remember, every time you make a move on these trial tracks, you have to have an action token. Now, that is actually the trial phase. You use your action token, you do whatever you want to do, the next person goes along, the other person goes along, back to you. If you have more action tokens and more resources, you can keep going. If not, you have to rest. Now, if you rest, that means you take your Archmage off the table and then you give back all the resources you haven't used. So you've heard it correctly. All your resources at the end of the round are given back. But for every resource you give back, you get 1 mana point. There are also spells that allow you to keep some of your resources, so you don't have to give them back. There's also a spell that when you take your Archmage back, you also get a mana point. So there are ways to change the outcome and so on. Once everyone has rested and basically passed, then the round is over and we do the whole thing again. We check the endgame conditions. Are all the purple ones gone? The game is over. when you've done 5 rounds, the game is also over. There are 6 tiles, so you can't just predict when it's going to be over. You don't know which tiles are going to be in there. There's always going to be one missing, also to increase the replayability. Okay, now let's take a look at the player board. Okay, here we are looking at the player mat of the red player. As you can see, you have 16 different spells. You have the mana point track. Here, these 3 are conversion spells, and this is a special board power that you have. Every player has a different power. Let's start with the mana point track. You can only have a maximum of 8 mana. If you have more mana, then basically you lose it. But it's very important to know that when you look at these 3 conversion spells, you can use these at any time in the game. So basically, when you know that you're going to get mana, you can quickly spend some mana so that you don't lose any mana when you gain it. So you can spend 2 mana to gain 1 action token. You can spend 4 mana to get a crystal of any color or a purple crystal. In this case, you can get a crystal of any color of the 3, a purple crystal or a action point, and convert them into 1 mana point. So technically, when you are, let's say it's on 6, when you're doing the trial phase and you've run out of action tokens and you need, let's say, 1 more red crystal, you could say, I'm going to spend 4 for a red crystal, and then I'm going to spend 2 for an action token, and now you can spend the action token, pay the red crystal, and move forward on a spot. So that's all very much possible. Now let's take a look at the spells. The top spells, those are spells you can use once per round. So let's say you have this spell. Once per round, when you gain an action token, you also get 2 mana. Here, it's pretty obvious now. Once you gain blue crystal, you get a blue crystal. Once you gain a yellow crystal, you get an extra yellow crystal. Red crystal, extra red crystal. The second row, same thing. You can also use it once per round. But when you gain the spell, you also get 1 mana point. So once per round, you can turn 1 crystal into a purple crystal. You can turn a purple crystal into a normal crystal. You can turn an action token into a crystal, and you can turn a crystal into 3 mana. The next row are basically points. 3 points, 1, 1, and 2 at the end of the game. First one doesn't give you anything extra. The second one gives you 1 mana point when you get the spell, but also every time you rest, you take your mage, your archmage, you also get 1 mana point. The other 2 are storage. So when you have the storage and you end your turn with some extra crystals that you didn't use, you can put them here, like that, for example. So next round you have 3 extra crystals to spend. Then the last row are actions that you can do once per game. So once per game you can get 1 purple and 2 mana, 1 blue 2 mana, 1 yellow 2 mana, 1 red 2 mana. At the bottom here you see bonuses. At the end of the game, if you have 3 spells horizontally or vertically, you get next to each other, obviously, you get 2 points. If you have 4 in a row, horizontally or vertically, you get 4 points. Another very important part about your spell mat is placing of your spell cores. You can only have 1 color, one of the same color, in each row or column. So for example, this is illegal. This is also illegal. This is legal. So when you are getting cores, it's very important to realize when you're taking colors. Like you might be going crazy for red, but then you're going to have to spread them around. Whereas if you have 4 different colors, you might be able to do this, which will get you, of course, all those spells, but also 4 points at the end of the game. So those things matter as well when you think about scoring. Now let's take a look at the player powers. Now the red player in this case, they at the beginning of the game will get a regular crystal and a purple crystal as a power. Let's take a look at another one. This player gets a action token and 6 mana at the start of the game. This player gets 4 mana and gets to move their token 1 step on a trial of their choice. And this player gets a purple cube, purple spell core to start the game. So they basically get a spell for free at the start of the game. So, some special rules. First of all, if you cannot place a spell core on your map for any reason at all, then you just simply gain 2 mana points instead. Of course, 2 mana points is not nearly as good as a spell core, so you would try to avoid that as much as possible. How does the game end? The game ends, like I said before, when there are no purple spell cores left, when the last space of any 2 trial tracks are occupied, or when it's the 5th round. Endgame scoring, in this case, is quite easy to calculate. When you look at the main board, you can see after every number there are lines. So you can see which locations give you which scores. The lines are not very clear always, so you make sure you check where you are exactly. Because for example, here on the yellow temple, it's -2. These 2 spots are 2 points. These 3 spots are 4. These 2, 8. This one, 11. And this one, 14. But in the blue track, these 2 are 10. So these have 2 spots for 10 points, while yellow only has 1 for 11. Same thing for red, 2 spots for 10. And only 1 person can be on a track at the same time. So people cannot share the location. It's very important to remember that. You add those points, you add them up with the points that you find on your player board, and you add them up, and then whoever has the most points wins, is the supreme mage, the supreme master. I'm sorry. So, there you have it. Trial of the Temples. It's a great game. It will not leave my collection anytime soon because it is so beautiful and it is so brain burnery. It induces so much AP and it's just a great feeling. It's really a great feeling. It's also annoying when you place your Archmage, because the first player has a sea of options, but you know the other players are going to try to block you in some way. The second player has the pressure to block the first player, but also has to think, if I block too hard, the third player will get a lot of resources, which is also not the point. And if the first and second player don't block themselves, then the third player is also going to be screwed because everything is nicely divided, and then he or she has to jump in, and even worse for the fourth player. So I have only played with 3 players, and that was tight. With 4 players, it will be even tighter. So I can't wait to try it with 4 players, to be honest. And like I said before, it's beautiful. Components are great. There's a lot of replayability because the temple tiles will always be in different locations. Yeah, different strategies with the spells. When we played, we all took a different approach with the spells, and we ended with 33 points, 37 and 38, so it's close together as well. Another important thing, of course, is the trial tracks. You want to keep your eye on what the resources are that other people are taking, so you can anticipate. If you're thinking, okay, player 1 or 2 is going to jump on the red track, I have to make sure I'm close to them so I can jump over them later on. Or even better, if you're already in the lead, try to create a gap so they cannot jump over you anymore as well. So it's very important to try and deny other people resources and so on. And I guess I'm making it sound a little bit of a harsh game where, you know, blocking people constantly, but we never really had that feeling because the player order changes every round. So every round people are going to focus on other people because someone else goes first and second, third and fourth, and that always changes the dynamic. Never had a bad feeling in this game. And also with the mana, even if people block you, you still have ways to get what you want. Maybe not as many, but maybe in some cases you don't even need as many. which was in our last game the case. So yeah, that's also a very good part of the game, I feel. I would definitely recommend this game for sure, without a doubt. One caveat, if you have many friends who are very prone to AP, then this can take a while, for sure. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I recommend it. If you think this is something for you, go and get it, because the Taiwanese board game industry definitely deserves your support. They have a lot of talent there. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching Too Many Games, Too Little Time, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.